And where time is concerned, be punctual. Especially when you have clients, be punctual. There are still some people out there in this world that actually care about time. You know, you can pay somebody back the $10 that you borrowed from them, but if you take 10 minutes from somebody, you cannot ever pay that back. And if you live like I live, my schedule is down to the minute on a day-to-day basis, oftentimes, except for Friday nights and Saturdays. That's my free time. So, all right, now I'm going to go back to confidence. And these are some really simple things. But like I said, sometimes we have to go over the obvious because we tend to forget them. The first thing, when you are talking to people, look them in the eyes. I can't tell you how many events I have been to, and people don't look at you in the eyes when they're talking to you. That makes them uncomfortable, it makes you uncomfortable, and guess what? They will not remember you. No one will remember you if you don't look them in the eyes. And I know that for some people that's very uncomfortable. And if you knew where I came from, I can tell you that it is possible to overcome whatever difficulties you might have. And you can learn these skills if you simply practice them. Be careful what you say. In two forms. One thing that I kind of have a pet peeve about in different industries, you have to realize, first of all, that your industry is exclusive to you. You know everything about your industry. So when you use all those wonderful little acronyms that you use to talk about your industry, such as us in the banking world, nobody understands what you're talking about. And if you're trying to sell somebody something and they don't know what you're talking about, it's never going to work for you. So be careful what you say. And then on a personal level, be careful what you say. Sometimes when we go to networking events and we feel very comfortable around people that we know, we sometimes let our guards down, and it's nice to be able to do that. And I'm a very down-to-earth person, and I love being really close with people. And you know, I feel close to Patrick. Patrick and I have had some great conversations just sitting down by ourselves. But some of those conversations I would never have with any people that I would meet in a networking group because I just met them. Now, I bring this up because I have to tell you as an example. I had, and notice the past tense, I had a dentist who, in the course of my appointment with him, cut down some particular beliefs that I have and also an organization that I was working with. He knew not that I was involved with either of those. But he just basically cut his own wrist where it came to his business because he lost me as a patient. I never went back again. So be careful what you say. Don't assume that everybody else feels the same way that you did. And we just got over an election, so I don't really probably have to say anything more than that because I can imagine that we've all had conversations with people concerning that. Remember, you only have one chance to make that first impression. One chance. So if you don't feel that you're really up to something that particular night or that day, sometimes it is just better to stay home if you're not in a good mood because you might not ever get a chance to meet Claudia again. You know, of course, it's hard to forget a beautiful face like that, you know, but you might not ever get a chance to make that impression again. All right? And back to appearance. And I know, as I said, some of these things sound remedial, but we don't think about them. Dress to your audience. I have to wear these suits all the time because I work at a commercial bank. I wish I could wear sweats, but I can't wear sweats. So I have to dress like this because this is the audience that I am working with. And I don't know, did Rains leave? You know, he's the community activist, and he is dressed appropriately for the people that he works with. And I just happen to notice him. And Lynn, so professionally dressed, and she does financial advising, you know, and I could pick out a lot of people, but be dressed for the type of business that you're in, okay? And the second, I keep saying the second thing, don't I? This is like the 22nd thing. All right, so the 22nd thing is be an expert. And I know that I'm about to step on a couple of toes, and I apologize for this, but be an expert in one thing. One thing. I know that there are a lot of us in here that are working on two aspects to our business. You can be one thing on the Monday night event, and you can be your other thing on the Wednesday night event, but be your one thing on that one event, because it's hard enough for people to remember who you are and what you do as it is, let alone giving them 2 or 3 things to try and I can't remember. And I test myself on this because I have people in my relationships that I've met, and I've met thousands of people over these last years, as you can imagine, going to networking event after networking event. And the people that identify themselves doing more than one thing, I can never remember what they do. So try really hard to do that. And I know that that's a heartbreaker for some of you that have a passion and then you have something that's paying the bills. At some point, it will come together if you are able to focus. I promise you that it will. But focus on that one thing that you can. Okay? Now, I want to do, you all drew your little tents, right? Okay? But if you built one of those tents back in those days, you know that that's not really how the tent stands up, is it? That's the pole in the middle, but there's something else that has to be there. The stakes, that's right. The stakes. So we kind of talked about some of the mechanical aspects of how to do networking. Now I want to talk about what I feel are the absolute stakes that will make you a good networker. Because if you don't have these things internally, and I hear there's a lot of coaches here today, so a lot of them will be shaking their heads and agreeing with some of the things that I'm going to talk about. If you don't have these things internally, anyone who has any sense of being able to read a person, which is the majority of mankind, though there are some out there that don't, but if you can read a person like this, you'll know whether or not they are strong in every way in what they do. So that first stake, and you heard this term in the definition of a mastermind, is to have a definite major purpose. Not just a goal, but a definite major purpose. I heard Jacqueline use the word, and I think Shamir also, that they have a passion for what they do. It is imperative when you are building your own business to have a passion, a burning desire, not just a flickering little flame, but a bonfire that drives you to do what you do. And that's your internal drive. Obviously, we have to have day-to-day goals that get us to that point. But that is what the internal drive is inside of you. When things are going wrong, when the market's going crazy, when people aren't showing up at your events, when you're getting no's on the phone, when you think you're at the end of your rope, that burning desire, that definite major purpose will drive you. It'll keep you going. Okay? There's a great quote by Malcolm Forbes concerning that, and he said that people who can't get carried away ought to be. Love that. Love it.